Good morning, dreamers. How are you today? Oh, my mug is backwards. I'm obviously not at Grandma's table right now. I am at my office desk, and you can see that Christmas threw up behind me. I have, I didn't turn any lights on for you though, because I thought having lights behind my head might be really weird. It's hard enough having them in front of my face. Um, you know, counted everything that I have that is Nutcracker or Nutcracker themed, and I have over 60. Mm-hmm. Over 60, I think she said. Um, this morning was interesting because I had my alarm set to go to the gym, and it went off, and I hit the X rather than the snooze. And yet I had a second alarm that was supposed to go off at 6:15 that somehow did not go off, or somehow I did not realize I hit another X and not the snooze, and that was in my sleep because there's no recollection of that at all. But all that to be saying, I am up, I'm awake, I'm moving, because sometimes we have a different type of wake up call. And at 6:45, I had a wake up call of a cat with a hairball. Stella was uncomfortable. She has been licking licorice, so she has been um, doing mama duties, adopted mama duties, and she's been licking him, and he's been rubbing into her, and um, anyway, all that to say, she got sick, but she got sick at just the right time, if that makes sense, because there's nothing like that sound to wake you up. If you're a cat owner, you know. If you know, you know. So I jumped out of bed, and which for me is not jumping ever. Just so you know, you see me with lots of energy here. This is after rolling out, crawling my way to the bathroom, having a shower because I have to get my circulation moving, and I'm in, like, I wake up in pain every day, and that's another story. It's okay. It's all part of the POTS and poly um, conditions that I have. Okay, whatever. Everyone has their conditions. But the cat got sick. So I picked it up and did what I gotta do as a cat mama. And my brain just started ticking. And I was so thankful that my tree looks like Darth Vader. Holy, that's an angel that looks like Darth Vader in the dark. That's really, sorry. Squirrel. Um, but so the the cat was sick at just the right time, and I thought, wow, sometimes illness comes. Um, it could be that you're struggling with mental health, and it's trying to tell you something. It's a messenger. It's telling you there's a problem. Um, it could be that the problem is as simple as you don't have enough serotonin. It could be that the problem is that you need to see your therapist because there's some emotions to work through and you're being triggered by Darth Vader trees. Like, I don't know. Like, you could be having problems this Christmas because holidays bring back memories, right? Holidays bring back a lot of stuff. And yet God's dream, like we talked about on Monday, is that his people and all the people of the world find peace. And it's up to us to create that peace. And I was talking with my mom yesterday, and it was like we were just discussing. I said, I have more peace knowing that I don't know the answers than I ever did when I was under a teaching that expected answers. Everything is as is. And I said, our faith tradition is one that you expect a certainty. That you are expected to have an answer for everything. You are expected to have a rote response to things. And it shocked her that I would think that. And I said, no, that's how we were taught. We were taught we had to have answers. Things are black and white. And I said, and I don't know how you didn't experience that, or maybe you just haven't noticed. I said, because my faith has made room for more questions than ever before. When I got to the point where my faith was allowed to have questions and not certainty, I can be certain of the core things. But there's other stuff that they're questions. It's okay to not know. Like, we're taught as young people to seek the will of God. And everything's the will of God. And so if something goes wrong and we get off track, there's this inner voice that says, you didn't know the will of God properly. And so you weren't listening properly. You weren't a good enough Christian to understand the will of God. Like, that's the natural fallout if a path has to change. If you hit a fork in the road and you're like, I don't know which one, and I go on one, and then it turns out I didn't even want that road with the fork in the first place. I needed a road way over there. I was in a totally wrong part of the map. But I was seeking God's will for the fork. And it's okay, the more you lean into Jesus, the questions are allowed and the questions are permitted. And that actually brings you peace. You would think with questions, you don't have peace, but knowing you're safe with your questions, you're safe to switch horses, you're safe to go down a different path, you're safe to make a choice and to say, I was wrong, and so now I'm going to get on the right path. To have the freedom to do that brings you more peace than, well, I started this, I have to finish this. And the gift of God is peace. And I'm so thankful to have learned through trauma, through other people's journeys, that the black and white stuff is, do I love my neighbor as I love myself? Because that's how I love God. That's following the way of Jesus. God isn't going to say, did you have all the answers correct on the test? Did you get an A+ on the theology test? God is going to say, girlfriend, did you acknowledge the dignity in the homeless man you walked beside? Did you acknowledge the beautiful difference between you, a white woman, and your friends who have a different learned experience than you do because of the color of their skin, the country from which they come, or the part of Canada from which they come? Because different cultures, depending on where in Canada you're from. And God's going to say, did you acknowledge their dignity, and did you love them? Regardless of their creed, regardless of how they speak, if they don't speak with the Queen's English and grammar, did you love them? And knowing that that's my job, not having all the answers, but just loving people, brings my heart peace. Let God do God. He's far better at it than I am. And so sometimes people bring changes, and sometimes to your life. Sometimes they exercise changes in their own life. What offering of peace do you have for them today? That is what God calls us to. Peace. And it's a humankind made peace. He already offers it. The God created peace is already there. We just have to pick it up and start to implement it. In a world that is anxious and fearful and I'm not talking about having the medical condition of anxiety, but like in a world that has to be right. You're either with me or you're against me. There's no in between. Maybe it's time to pick up the gift of peace this Christmas. Anyway, know that I love you. Know that there's space here for your questions, your U-turns, whatever it looks like. If you need me, you know where to find me. Have a great